You've felt it before, haven't you? That pull, that whisper deep inside your soul, urging you towards something greater, something beyond what the world expects. Maybe you've ignored it at times, pushed it to the back of your mind, or doubted its existence. But no matter how many times you try to forget it, that sense of being chosen remains. It's not just a feeling, it's a truth. Being chosen doesn't always mean you're special in the way the world defines it. You weren't handed a crown or told you were destined for greatness by someone else. No, the truth is far deeper than that. You were chosen because of something far more profound, your ability to stand apart, your ability to see the cracks in the world that others don't. This world, as much as it wants you to conform, can't quite erase the fact that something in you is different. Something about you sees the world through a lens of possibility, not limitation. But what does it mean to be chosen? It's more than just being selected for a special purpose. It's about embracing your uniqueness, your power, and your responsibility. For those who are chosen, the road ahead is rarely smooth, but it is always necessary. The path you walk isn't one many will understand, but that's part of what makes it so vital. When you recognize your power, the world will try to diminish it. It will call you odd, strange, weak, or out of touch. And yet, you stand strong because you know deep inside that you are not meant to play small. The power of being chosen isn't about external validation. It's about the quiet knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. It's time for you to embrace that because the world needs what you have. It always has. The illusion of control, how systems keep us small. Have you ever wondered why society seems so determined to keep us in line? Why do we follow rules that often don't make sense? Why do we put our faith in structures that promise security but never seem to deliver it? I remember when I first started asking these questions. I was young, naive, and didn't yet realize how deeply ingrained the need for control was in everything around me. It wasn't just in my school or family, it was in the very fabric of the society I lived in. At first, it felt like security. Rules, guidelines, expectations, they all seemed to create a sense of order, a sense of safety. But over time, something didn't sit right. The more I observed, the more I realized that these systems were not built to protect us, they were built to control us. The structures of power, whether they're governments, corporations, or even the norms of family life, are designed to keep us small. They are built on fear, on the idea that we must comply in order to survive. And while they promise safety and structure, they create a world where our very ability to think freely is constrained. They make us feel like we are in control, but in reality, we're just dancing to someone else's tune. The illusion of control is all around us, in everything from the media we consume to the way we're expected to act in social situations. It's in the way we're told that our value is determined by how much we produce, how we look, or who we know. We're told that to be powerful, we need to conform, to fit into neatly labeled boxes. But here's the truth. These systems of control are fragile. They depend on us believing that we can't exist without them. They thrive on our silence, on our obedience, and on our fear of stepping outside the lines. But once you begin to see through the illusion, something extraordinary happens. You realize that you are more powerful than any system or structure could ever be. The systems that keep us small rely on our compliance. Once we stop complying, once we step outside the boundaries they set, we begin to see that we've always had the power to break free. The truth is, the systems that try to control us can only succeed if we allow them to. It's time to wake up to that power. The moment you begin to challenge the systems, they lose their grip on you, and suddenly, the world opens up. Embracing the path of the chosen one. It's not easy, is it? Stepping into the path of the chosen one. So many of us are conditioned to believe that we should just accept the world as it is, follow the rules, and play by everyone else's script. But that's not your path. You've always known deep inside that there's more to life than what's being presented to you. The road you must walk is not paved, nor is it a path that will always be welcomed by those around you. But it's yours, and that makes it powerful. I remember the first time I realized that I had a purpose greater than what I could see in front of me. It felt terrifying. There was this deep knowing that I wasn't meant to conform, to settle into a life that was easy or comfortable. The more I resisted that call, the more the universe seemed to nudge me toward it. And when I finally accepted it, everything changed. It's not that the path of the chosen one is glamorous or easy. It's often lonely and filled with uncertainty, but it's also where true growth lies. When you choose this path, you are not just following in someone else's footsteps. You are carving out your own journey based on your own truths and desires. But walking this path requires bravery. It requires the courage to let go of what others think of you, of what society tells you is important, and to walk forward with nothing but your inner compass guiding you. It's a path that demands you embrace your unique gifts and face your fears head-on. It's not about waiting for the world to accept you, it's about accepting yourself first. It's about realizing that the challenges, the trials, the times when you feel lost are all part of your growth. It's about trusting that the path will unfold as you go, not because you have all the answers, but because you have the courage to take the first step. The moment you embrace this path, you step into your true power. You begin to realize that you are not just a passive player in the game of life, you are the creator of your own story. And when you own that, when you stop waiting for permission and start living in alignment with your deepest truth, something extraordinary happens. The world begins to change with you. The silent revolution, power in stillness. World moves fast. It's filled with noise, distractions, and constant demands for our attention. But amidst all the chaos, there's a quieter force at work, one that doesn't shout, doesn't demand, and doesn't fight for recognition. It's the power of stillness. And if you've ever felt like you were meant for more than the constant hustle, the pressure to keep up, you're not alone. I used to think that to make an impact, I had to be loud. I believed that in order to be heard, I had to push, force, and stand out. But over time, I realized that the true power lies in stillness. The world wants you to believe that you need to compete, to shout, to prove yourself. It teaches us that in order to be seen, we must be louder than the rest. But those who are truly powerful understand that power doesn't need to be loud, it just needs to be present. In silence, we are given space to think, to reflect, and to align with our true selves. In stillness, the world can feel the weight of our presence, even if we never speak a word. The silent revolution is not about being passive. It's about being so sure of your own power that you don't need to exert it in obvious ways. It's about living your truth so deeply that it shifts the energy around you. When you embrace stillness, you let go of the need to prove anything to anyone. You no longer need external validation because you are already anchored in your own truth. The stillness doesn't mean inaction. In fact, it's the opposite. It means acting with clarity, precision, and purpose. When you can remain calm, when you can pause before reacting, you are better able to observe, to see the world as it truly is, not as you wish it to be. Stillness allows you to see the cracks in the systems around you. It gives you the space to reflect and plan, to choose your next move carefully, and to act without the pressure of the world's expectations. And here's the power of stillness. It's contagious. When you are still, others begin to take notice. Your energy doesn't scream for attention, it commands it. Your presence alone begins to shift the energy in a room. People start to look at you differently, not because you're loud or demanding, but because you've learned to master the art of quiet power. This is the silent revolution, the understanding that real strength doesn't need to announce itself. It just is. And when you choose to embrace stillness, you will find that your influence grows far beyond what you could have imagined. The truth you carry, clarity and unseen strength. There's a moment in every chosen one's journey when they come face to face with a powerful realization. The truth they carry within them is not something the world is ready for. It's something deeper than any textbook knowledge or societal norm. It's the clarity that cuts through the noise and reveals the world for what it truly is. I remember the first time I truly understood what it meant to carry this kind of truth. I was at a crossroads in my life, feeling lost, unsure of which direction to take. Everyone around me seemed to have it figured out. They were following the prescribed path, doing what society said was right, and yet I felt completely out of place. I tried to conform, tried to fit into the mold that the world wanted me to fit into, but it felt suffocating. It was during this time that I realized I was holding onto something deeper, something that wasn't going to be found in the status quo. I was holding onto a truth that wasn't mine to share, but mine to live. And as I lived it, I began to realize that this truth wasn't just personal, it was universal. It was a truth that could change the world, but only if I dared to live it out loud. When you carry clarity, you become a mirror to the world around you. People may not always agree with you, they may not understand you, but that doesn't diminish the strength you carry. In fact, the more you embrace this clarity, the stronger you become. Clarity is not always loud. It doesn't need to be. It's steady, it's firm, and it's unwavering. It sees beyond the illusions people cling to, beyond the distractions and the noise. It understands that the truth is not something to be explained, it's something to be lived. And when you live that truth, even in silence, it shifts everything. The world will try to convince you that you need to be something you're not, that you need to play by their rules, follow their guidelines. But the truth you carry, that clarity inside you, is stronger than any of the noise outside. It's the unseen strength that changes everything, even when it's invisible to others. The power of clarity doesn't lie in proving a point or being right. It lies in simply existing as who you are. And when you live in that clarity, the world can't help but shift around you. The greatest strength is the strength that doesn't need to be announced. It speaks without words, it influences without effort, and it heals without force. Deconstructing illusions, the truth behind the veil. Have you ever felt like you were being fed a story that just didn't sit right with you? Like the world around you was built on a series of lies, half-truths, and distractions, and you were the only one who could see through the veil? I remember the first time I saw through the illusion. I was in my 20s, working a regular job, living a life that seemed to be going according to the plan I was supposed to follow. But something always felt off. There was this nagging feeling in my gut, like I was missing something. I was doing everything I was told to do, following the rules, checking off the boxes, but deep down I felt empty. It wasn't until I began to question everything I had been taught, everything I thought was true, that the illusions started to fall away. The world wants you to believe in certain things. It wants you to believe that power is something to be obtained through wealth, status, and control. It tells you that success means conforming to a system, following a formula, playing the game as it's been set. But behind all of this lies a deeper truth, one that is often hidden behind the veil of societal norms and expectations. When I started to question these illusions, I began to see the truth for what it was. I saw how the world operates on fear, how the systems of control use division and manipulation to keep people small. The truth was right there, but it was disguised as something else. What I realized is that all these illusions, these beliefs we've been taught, are not truths at all. They are simply stories created by those who benefit from keeping us in the dark. The more I started to uncover, the more I understood that the system thrives on our ignorance. It thrives on keeping us distracted, keeping us chasing after things that don't matter. But once you begin to see through these illusions, you become a force that cannot be stopped. It's not just about seeing the truth. It's about deconstructing the lies one by one. It's about understanding that everything you've been taught about success, power, and control is just a carefully constructed illusion designed to keep you in line. The more you unravel it, the more you realize that you are not powerless. You are not just a cog in the machine. You are the creator of your own reality, and the system has no power over you unless you allow it. This is the moment when everything changes. Once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. And once you see it, you have the power to dismantle the illusions that have kept you trapped. The truth behind the veil is simple. You were never meant to be small. You were never meant to live in fear. You were meant to break free, to rise above the illusions and live your truth. The art of subtle revolution, dismantling the old systems. Revolution doesn't always look like what we expect. It's not always loud or violent. Sometimes, the most powerful revolutions are the quiet ones, the ones that happen in the silence when no one is watching. I remember a time when I was surrounded by a system that seemed too powerful to change. It was a job, a place where I had put in my time, worked hard, and followed the rules. On the surface, everything appeared fine. People were successful, life was comfortable. But beneath it all, there was a feeling of discontent. I could see it in the way people walked around, how they spoke to one another, how they adhered to a set of rules that didn't truly align with their values. There was something deeply wrong with the system, but no one dared to speak up. They were afraid of the consequences, afraid of the discomfort that would come with change. But I had a different perspective. I realized that revolution didn't have to be about making noise or staging protests. Revolution could be about small, subtle acts of defiance. It could be about standing firm in your truth, no matter how uncomfortable it made others. Over time, I began to see the cracks in the system. I saw how people were disempowered, how the system relied on fear and compliance to maintain control. But I also realized something powerful. It didn't need to be like this. The system only had power because people believed it did. The more I stood my ground, the more I refused to conform to the outdated beliefs and structures, the more others began to notice. It wasn't about being loud. It was about being unwavering in my commitment to truth. This subtle revolution wasn't about taking down the system. It was about waking people up to the fact that the system was already falling apart. It was about reminding them that they didn't need to comply, that they had the power to create their own reality. Slowly but surely, people started to see it. They started to question the rules, challenge the status quo, and create their own paths. The old systems began to lose their grip because they were built on illusions. And when those illusions were stripped away, they crumbled. A subtle revolution is about doing what others aren't brave enough to do, living your truth. Even when it's uncomfortable, it's about standing firm in your authenticity and not allowing the world around you to dictate your worth. The real power in revolution lies not in loud acts of rebellion, but in quiet, intentional steps toward change. It's in the ability to stand firm and let the system crumble around you because it has no foundation without your consent. The danger of conformity, why the chosen ones don't fit in. It's no secret that society often rewards conformity. We're taught from a young age to follow the rules, fit in with the crowd, and do what is expected of us. The world wants us to be the same, to blend in, to become part of the system without ever questioning it. But what happens when you don't fit in? What happens when you are one of the chosen ones, the ones who don't conform? You see, I've always been the kind of person who couldn't fit into the mold. I've tried, of course. I've tried to follow the rules, to follow the script, to do what I was told. But no matter how hard I tried, I always felt out of place. I never quite fit in with the people around me. It wasn't that I didn't try, I did. I tried to be like everyone else, to act like everyone else, but something always felt off. And it wasn't until later that I realized I wasn't meant to fit in. The chosen ones never do. The truth is, conformity is dangerous. It teaches us to silence our own voices, to ignore our instincts, and to follow the crowd, even when the crowd is going in the wrong direction. Conformity keeps us small. It tells us that our worth is determined by how well we fit in, by how much we can blend into the system. But the chosen ones don't fit in because they are not meant to. They are meant to break free, to step outside the boundaries that society has set, and to create their own paths. The danger of conformity is that it makes us forget who we really are. It makes us believe that we must shrink ourselves to fit in with the expectations of others. But when you embrace your uniqueness, when you refuse to conform, you begin to realize the power that lies within you. The chosen ones don't fit in because they are destined to lead. They are destined to break the chains of conformity and show others that they, too, can step into their own power. The danger of conformity is that it keeps you small, keeps you from seeing your true potential. But when you break free, when you stop trying to fit into the mold, you step into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. The awakening, how to step into your power. You've felt it before, that deep stirring within you, the sense that there's something more to life than what you've been told. It's the feeling that you are on the cusp of something incredible, something that will change everything. But how do you step into that power? How do you awaken to the truth that has been dormant inside of you for so long? I remember when I first realized that I wasn't living in alignment with my true self. I had spent years following the rules, doing what society expected of me, but something always felt off. I had this nagging feeling that there was more to me, more to life than just the day-to-day grind. It wasn't until I began to ask myself some tough questions that everything changed. Who am I really? What do I truly want? These weren't just idle thoughts, they were calls to action. The moment I began to ask those questions, I felt an incredible shift. It wasn't immediate. It wasn't like I suddenly had all the answers, but it was like the fog lifted. I began to see things clearly for the first time, and that's when the awakening began. Stepping into your power isn't something that happens overnight. It's a process. It's about shedding the layers of conditioning that have been placed on you by society, by family, by the world around you. It's about letting go of the fear that has held you back for so long, the fear of being too much, too loud, too different. I had to let go of the idea that I had to fit into some predefined box. I had to let go of the fear of judgment. And once I did that, I started to step into my power. It wasn't a big, dramatic moment. It wasn't a flash of light or a thunderous applause. It was simply a quiet shift, a deep knowing that I was no longer going to let anyone or anything define who I was or what I could achieve. The key to awakening to your power is self-awareness. It's about tuning into who you really are, what you truly want, and what you're capable of. Once you awaken to that, nothing can stop you. The power is already within you. You don't need to search for it, it's been there all along. The trick is learning to trust it, learning to listen to that inner voice, and following it wherever it leads you. Stepping into your power isn't always easy. It requires courage to break free from the expectations that others have placed on you. But the moment you decide to take that step, to embrace your true self, you will begin to see the world differently. The power that you have within you is limitless. It's the key to creating a life that's truly aligned with your deepest desires. And that, my friend, is how you awaken. Facing the resistance, how the chosen ones are tested. The path of the chosen one is not an easy one. In fact, it's often a road filled with obstacles, resistance, and tests that seem designed to break you. But what you must understand is that resistance is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's a sign that you're on the right one. I've faced more resistance than I can count, and I'm sure you have too. There were times when I felt like I couldn't go on, times when the weight of the world seemed too much to bear. But looking back, I realized that the resistance was never meant to stop me. It was meant to strengthen me. It was meant to show me just how strong I truly am. I remember a time when I was faced with a huge decision. Everything in my life seemed to be falling apart. My relationships were strained. My career felt like it was at a dead end, and I was facing criticism from people I thought I could trust. I questioned everything, my choices, my purpose, my very worth. But it was in that moment of doubt that I had a breakthrough. I realized that the resistance wasn't here to destroy me, it was here to test me, to push me to grow. And I knew that if I could get through this, I would come out the other side stronger than ever. The chosen ones are tested because they are meant for greatness. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But the path to greatness is paved with challenges. It's in those moments of hardship that you discover what you're truly made of. The tests you face aren't just obstacles, they are opportunities to rise. Every time you face resistance, you have a choice. You can choose to give up, or you can choose to keep going. And every time you choose to keep going, you become stronger. It's in the resistance that your true strength is revealed. Don't let the challenges you face make you doubt your worth or your purpose. Understand that every test, every obstacle, is an invitation to become the best version of yourself. The chosen ones are tested not because they are weak, but because they are strong enough to handle what lies ahead. You will face resistance on your journey, but don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. Let it push you, let it shape you, and let it remind you of the power that already resides within you. The ripple effect, how your power creates change. You may not always see it, but every action you take, every choice you make, sends out a ripple that affects everything around you. Truth is, we are all connected. What you do, what you say, how you live your life, these things matter more than you may realize. I first understood the power of the ripple effect when I made a small decision that changed the course of my life. It wasn't a big, dramatic decision. In fact, it seemed insignificant at the time. But that one small choice led to a series of events that completely shifted my perspective. I decided to speak my truth, even though it terrified me. I decided to stop hiding who I was and to stop playing small. At first, it felt like nothing was happening. But slowly, I began to notice changes. People around me started to act differently. Some of them were inspired by my bravery. Others, unfortunately, were threatened by it. But in either case, something changed. And that's when I realized the power of the ripple effect. When you live in alignment with your true self, you send out energy into the world that cannot be ignored. You may not always see the immediate effects of your actions, but trust me, your power is felt. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you treat others, it all sends ripples out into the world. And those ripples affect more than just your immediate environment. They affect everything. Every person you meet, every situation you encounter is changed by the energy you put into the world. It's easy to think that we are too small to make a difference. We look at the problems in the world and feel overwhelmed. But the truth is, the world is changed by individuals just like you. The more you step into your power, the more you align with your truth, the more your ripples expand. You may not see the full effect of your actions right away, but over time, your energy begins to build. It starts with one person, one decision, one moment of courage. And that's how change begins. You are the change. Your power creates change not because of what you do, but because of who you are. The world changes when you change. The ripple effect you create will reach further than you can imagine. Keep living your truth, keep stepping into your power, and watch as the world transforms around you. Conclusion: the end of one journey, the beginning of another. As you reach this point in your journey, I want you to take a moment and reflect on how far you've come. You've stepped into your power. You've faced resistance and emerged stronger. You've realized the ripple effect of your actions and how much change you can create in the world. But here's the thing, this is just the beginning. The end of one journey is always the beginning of another. The journey you're on is never truly over. Life is not a destination. It's an ongoing process of growth, evolution, and transformation. You've awakened to your power, but there is still so much more to discover. There will always be new challenges to face, new tests to overcome, and new opportunities to embrace. But now, you are different. You are no longer the person who was afraid to step into their power. You are no longer the person who feared resistance. You are no longer the person who doubted their ability to create change. You are someone who has embraced their true potential, and that makes all the difference. The end of this journey is not an ending, it's a new beginning. A new chapter of your life where you continue to expand, continue to grow, and continue to create. The world is waiting for you. Your journey is far from over, but now you walk it with purpose, with clarity, and with power. So, take a deep breath, step forward, and know that the best is yet to come. You are just getting started.